Welcome to r/EntitledParents. In today's stories, an EM wants a child to move away from their mum on the plane so they can have the extra seat. Another EM wants a volunteer fired. And another EM who forces a child to lift things even though they just got out of hospital. Here we go. Hey guys, and I hope you're well. If you enjoy Reddit stories, don't forget to click that subscribe as you'll love the rest of our content. And with that being said, let's get started. Our first story is from A Name That Isn't. Ian wants me to move away from my mum on a plane so she can have the extra seat. On mobile. Backstory. Was on a plane back from vacation. My mum and I were sat in a row of 3 and had a spare seat. EM wanted me to swap with her so she could get 2 seats to herself while I would sit with her husband and kid. Cast: EM, curly hair, fat but not obese. The special type of I'm on a cheap flight but I'm better than all of you bitchiness. Mum, my mum. Me, I effing cringe so much when people go, ooh, don't know who that is, or haha, you know who, tee. F off, is me. FA, the most useless boob I've ever met. Flight attendant. So, we're in the air, the seatbelt sign was off, and we were free to roam about. The flight had a couple of spare seats from what I could see, including the one next to me. My mum and I had booked the middle and window seat, but I moved to sit in the aisle so we'd have more space. The woman sat in front row, EM, continuously whipped her head round to stare at me for a few seconds. I tried to ignore her, but it was effing weird. After 20 minutes of her turning around to stare at me every few seconds, she eventually tapped me on the head. She tapped me on my head by reaching over the seat. EM said, "Excuse me?" Her tone was very severe. I said, "Yes, hi." I was very tired, but tried to be polite. "Swap seats with me." She maintained eye contact the whole time. I took a few minutes to respond because I was dumbfounded. I said, "I'm with my mum, I'd rather not." "You've got a spare seat. I want to spread out and relax. Swap with me." I said, "No, please leave me alone." "That's not how you speak to an adult." She got a little loud, enough to turn heads and disturb my mum, who asked if I was okay. The EM said, "Swap with me. I need to sit there, and you can sit next to my child. You can play with him." The child looked around 5. I am 18. I said, "Please leave," and she cut me off. "Move right now." This turned everyone's head, made me so embarrassed, and was loud enough to summon a flight attendant, mid-30s male. The flight attendant said, "Is everything alright here?" He spoke directly to EM, completely ignoring me. The EM said, "That boy won't move. He's got 2 seats to himself and he..." And my mum interjected, loudly at this point. She said, "I actually booked 2 seats myself, both which I paid for. I was sitting in the aisle seat, which had not been booked." The EM didn't respond to my mum. I think she was intimidated. The flight attendant said, well, we'll see what I can do." He then turned to me, who had been listening and present the whole time. "This woman is asking if you'll be able to swap with her so she can have more space. Would you mind?" Would I mind? I said, no, I don't want to swap." EM erupted. She started yelling at me, calling me a brat, calling me selfish. My mum was yelling at her back, and I honestly was struggling not to laugh at EM because I noticed how her chin shook as she shouted. The FA during this argument shrinked away, just backed off and effing left. EM realising she was making a fool of herself. Fine, selfish effing brat. She sat back down and swung her seat back as much as she could, which was fine because it was literally a couple of inches and I had plenty of space. My mum asked if I was okay and if I wanted her to make EM move. I said I was fine. EM started making huffing noises. I ignored her, put my earphones in, and the rest of the flight was fine. When we landed, EM made sure to get up like a rocket and block the walkway so I couldn't get out the aisle. I, however, was feeling petty. I stood up, shuffled over and said, "You don't mind, do you?" Then barged into the walkway in a way that looked accidental. She stumbled into someone else who promptly launched her back into her seat. It was hilarious, like watching a ping pong ball. She didn't move after that, and we got off the plane and never saw her again. I like it when these entitled parents just have that little touch of petty revenge in there as well. It's really nice. Would you have swapped seats with that entitled mother? Let me know in the comments below. Our next story is from Slender N679. EM wants me fired when I'm volunteering. First of all, English isn't my first language, so expect some grammar errors, but feel free to point them out. So last year my school asked all the students if they wanted to do volunteering for a food bank, and said yes. On the day that I did volunteering, I was alone with the teachers at a little stand that we had while everyone else were at the entrances of a supermarket giving bags for people to fill food with. The idea was for them to deliver the bags at the stand, but most people gave them to my friends in the entrances, so I had to go to there from time to time and take them to the stand. We all had t-shirts saying that we were volunteers, but I had a jacket over it because it was cold. One of the times I went to the entrances, the shopping cart that I used to transport bags was totally full, and when I was going back to the stand, EM gets close to me with 2 full bags of food, and the conversation begins. The entitled mother says, "Here, take them," giving me the bags. I said, "Sorry, but my cart is full." "I don't care, take them." I said, "Sorry, but I've already told you that my cart is full. Leave the bags there with my EM cuts me off and starts screaming, catching everyone's attention. "Take my bags now, or I will get you fired." My friends who were close started laughing at her. "I know the manager of your company for a long time." I was 13 at the time. I said, after reading many entitled parents, I knew where this was going. "Okay then, call him." She makes a fake call and says, "He says you are fired." And I say, "The problem is..." I take my jacket off and show her the shirt saying volunteer with big letters on my back, and then just walk away while everyone laughs at her. Thank you for reading. Have a nice day. I love the ones that are short and sweet and straight to the point, and just imagine that person's face. And I mean, how entitled can you be? You're at a food bank trying to get food. Oh man. You thought, like, when you're in that kind of situation, you'll be a bit humble, a bit thankful, but to go around and demand things from people when they're trying to just help you, it's just absolutely ridiculous. In the UK, we have so many food banks now, it's ridiculous. I mean, I try to help out a bit when I can, but it's just so overwhelming. What is your thoughts on this story, guys? I'd love to see them in the comments below. Our next story is from Gills. I think it's Gills. Ignore the doctor, lift heavy stuff. So, this happened a few years ago. I was getting intense stomach pains rather frequently, 1 to 2 times a week, and didn't know why. I was always scared of going to the hospital, not for the normal reasons, but because my mother had convinced me that I was a manipulative faker at an early age and continues to do so to this day. Even after undergoing a battery of tests that proved that my appendix was about to burst, I had to fight myself not to tell the surgeons, "I'm sorry, I think I'm faking this." I was convinced they'd cut me open, find a healthy appendix, and everyone would realise I was a crap person. Well, they cut it out and it was massive and black. There were minor complications, can't remember what they were, and I was told not to lift heavy things for half a year. My mother was in the room when the doctor came in and said so. The day I effing get home, she makes me walk my pit bull and my mum's Yorkie. I have 2 younger brothers, but they're apparently my responsibility. Which okay, the pit's mine, but no one walked it for 3 days I was in ER. I don't think I would have made it if my elderly aunt, a cancer survivor, hadn't come to help. Thankfully we didn't go too far, and he eventually realised I was in pain and calmed down to walk by our sides. And they just kept going. The doctor said that my limp was £5. It became almost a daily occurrence that I'd be asked to lift heavy things and put them away. My aunt even came with me to a checkup where the doctor confirmed that I wasn't to lift heavy things for another several months. Never heard the doctor say that. It didn't matter how much pain I was in or how much the doctor insisted. My mother would yell at me to do stuff, putting away giant cast iron skillets that weigh around £20 each, carrying in giant bags of groceries, cleaning the garage, lifting the sofa, etc. There's really no gotcha ending to this. Somehow I managed to recover, but the pain lingered for over a year. Every once in a blue moon I get a slight twinge, but it's nothing to write home about. Damn, man. You almost want to say that's verging on abuse, you know, that's crazy. And she's probably the reason that it took a full year to recover, if you are even recovered right now, rather than just the half a year they were on about. You're getting twinges now. That could still be damage, you know, that could be damage from all the lifting and things. Wow. What is your thoughts on this entitled mother? Let me know, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, guys, I would just like to say a massive thank you. Your love and support keeps me going, keeps me posting. So if you are new here and you enjoyed this content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, as it really helps out a channel like mine. I can't stress enough how much it helps. And if you want to support further, there's some videos on the screen right now for you to enjoy, which I hope you do, of course. Much love, guys. Take care now. Goodbye.